this is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your daily horoscope and energy reading for September 17th, and we have two major energies that are shifting, and this is a big deal. So we have Saturn moving into Sagittarius today, and we also have Mercury in retrograde, Mercury going into retrograde in Libra today. And so I'm really just going to focus on how this will individually affect you so that this doesn't turn into be an unusually really long video. And I'm going to break this down per sign. I will have the timestamps located in the comment section below for you, so you know how this is going to personally affect you. So let's get started. For this Saturn in Sagittarius transit, there are some key degrees that I want to point out, that I want you to pay attention to, and I'll try to emphasize them in my readings as well. But I want you to know what these degrees mean to you, because degrees can be very confusing to figure out. So the 0-degree mark is the beginning of this transit. It's the beginning of every transit. It doesn't change. However, the degrees in the middle do change per transit as far as what's emphasized, but and ideally the 0-degree and the 29th degree never change. So the 0-degree is the beginning. It is the lowest vibration. It is the most infantile part of this vibration of energy. It is the beginning. It is the starting point for the transformation, what the energies are asking of you. So it's really important to document when a transit starts, what came to light, what feelings you had, what dreams you had, so that you understand where the energy is trying to lead you. Then, in this particular transit, the 4th degree is pretty important because it is a time of challenge. It's a time of challenge. It wants to reinforce areas that you need to change. So when you hit about that 4th degree, you might experience, when Saturn is in Sagittarius, some expansive thoughts that may make you feel energetically like you're not doing a good job, or that you may need there may be some room for improvement, or that all hell kind of breaks loose around that time and you're like, damn, that sucked. Then on the 17th degree, it's a time of reflection. Again, it's a time of challenge, but challenge in a different way. It's not that 4th degree. It's that 17th degree. It's it's a time to take a look. It's almost a time to be like a hermit. Be reflective. Quiet time. You'll experience a lot of dreams, some meditation. When you meditate, you'll get some epiphanies. When you're in your element, you'll start to get some ideas, and that'll happen around the 17th degree, and this will broaden your perspective on how this transit is particularly challenging you. Then on the 29th degree, it is a time of completion in this. So you're reaping the rewards. It's the day of reckoning for some of you that didn't get it, or that there was an ending, that cumulative energy was holding something or someone accountable for some misdoings. But for many of you, this is just a time of completion. It's a time of accomplishment. It's a time of understanding, ultimate understanding of what this particular transit meant to you. I did want to just briefly cover these for you because when I bring these up, you're going to be like, what the heck is she talking about? And I gave you a brief overview. Hi, Aries. This is your energetic reading for Saturn moving into Sagittarius. And before we get started, I want to, I took a lot of time and wrote down some notes about what this transit is going to mean to you. So I'm going to literally read it because I get caught up in the energy and I don't stay to the analytical part of it. And I think balancing out my research along with my energetic approach to energies is going to give you a really juicy foundation for you to really build on, because this transit is going to be very important for the next couple of years for you. So I really want you guys to have the best knowledge. So I broke this down into 2 categories, and the categories are challenges you may face when you're in the lower degrees of a transit, and then the goals and triumphant achievements in the final degrees of this transit. The challenges that you may face while in the lower degree of this transit is, okay, so for you, this is going to be in the 9th house, and this is going to be in the house of philosophy. So this is about expanding you and your hopes, your dreams, and your wishes. Yes, it's the house of metaphysical expansion, but it's also expanding your mind and how you want to move forward, and that's a very Jupiter energy. And so for you, I like to look at it as in hopes, dreams, and wishes more than I like to look at it in the house of philosophy. So for you, you may get a little bit more greedy. You may be a little bit more self-indulgent. Self-importance is going to be expanded for you. Ruthless ambition. You may want what you want, and you may not care about at what cost it is, as long as you get the end result. And a sense of overindulgence. Feeling like you can partake and have as much as you want, and there's no penalty for that. And, you're really being challenged by all the energies that are really working on you. This Uranus and Aries transit is really allowing some expansion in areas. And so it can be really hard to keep that in perspective when you have a lot of energy rooting you on and expanding you, because Jupiter's expanding everything. The goals of this energy in the final degrees is and the triumphant achievements that you can eventually achieve, and that happens in the higher degrees once you get in those higher degrees, and that's about a year and a half from now. Is you have a greater understanding of oneself, and you've broadened your perspective, and you discover a higher purpose than just your immediate gratification. You have a philosophical approach versus an ego-oriented approach. So, you're looking at this in a sense of you know that you're a leader. You're taking the role as a leader, and you're putting aside your ego for the greater good, for whatever purpose that you're embarking on that's been highlighted and that's been shown to you that you need to strive and stand up for. And then expansion of ideas, morals, values based on appreciation of other perspectives. So this is getting a really broad perspective. This is taking into all the other cultures. This is outside of the normal arena where you go to seek knowledge. This is about expanding some of your social groups to and incorporate some of their ideas so that you can be a more well-rounded leader. And that's eventually what happens in this energy. But let's talk about the energy as it stands right now. Like, what is the energy as of when it transfers over? So the 0 degree mark is the starting point, right? And for you, you're strong in being an Aries at this point. You are firm in the fact that you're a leader. Your ego is very confident, but your weakness, your absolute weakness, is in emotion. And how it makes you act out. So as long as you are not questioned or that you are not challenged in any way, you are fine. As long as people are respecting your perspective. But as soon as they start to question it, that is when I think you lack the control that you desire over the situation, and you become insanely combative, and you become very difficult to deal with, and you almost throw this little petulant child type tantrum in the lowest vibration of this energy. And so what you may feel, for all of you that have energetically overcame most of the lower vibrations of this Aries energy, I think you're going to find that people are just challenging you more, and they're going to be pushing more of your buttons to try to see if you can snap. And this is going to cause you to really get stressed out and develop a lot of anxiety. And, you know, you're not going to have the self-control that you really thought that you had handled. So for you, this is all about learning in the state of conflict, and the state where people aren't following, where they are questioning your vision and your authority. How do you remain in control? How do you get them to admire you without being combative and reducing them and overpowering them with your overbearing nature? And I think that will be the challenge for quite some time. We have a lot of Uranian energy and Aries really going to step up this challenge for you, and I'm really sorry about that, because it really is going to set the challenge in motion, and it's going to be quite unexpected, and it may make you feel like your life is a little topsy-turvy and a little out of control, and it's overwhelming for you. Just know that you're in the beginning degrees of this transit. For the next couple years, Saturn is going to help you learn how to remain constantly in control of this little demon that you have cooking always in the background, because it really wants you to be a leader. The universe, God, spirit, whomever you believe, wants you to step into a leadership role. But I think what you need to do is really acknowledge that the fact of the demon that lies in you is often in your emotions, and you're giving so much so freely that and people may be taking advantage of it, and that may make you angry, but remaining in control during that time frame is super important as well. That's the challenge. That's how you know that you have reached ultimate power in your ego, is when you don't give a crap that somebody is challenging you when you're right, because you just look at them, acknowledge their level of understanding and their level of almost ignorance in the direction that you're trying to get them to go, and you figure out a different route in a really positive way instead of overpowering them. So that is your energetic reading for Saturn moving into Sagittarius, and I look forward to talking to you guys again on the next astrological event. Hi Taurus, this is your energetic reading for the Saturn moving into Sagittarius transit. And I really just want to read off how I organized it, because it's beautiful on paper. So for you, Saturn moving into Sagittarius, this energy shift is going to be in your 8th house. The 8th house is the house of death, sex, and transformation. And it's also of personal intimacy. It's your most intimate relationships having an influence on how you feel about things. And so I've broken into 2 different categories, because what you experience in the first degrees of this transit, you won't experience in the later degrees of this transit. And this is about a 2-year transit. So when energy goes in to a transit in the very beginning at that 0 degree mark, which is why I do a lot of my energetic readings at the 0 degree mark, the reason I do that is because it's the lowest vibration of that energy. It's the most challenging point in that energy. And as you progress up the energetic, as the degrees increase, so does your attachment and your knowledge to this energetic transit. And so for you, when it starts out at this 0 degree mark, the challenge that you may face when it is in the lower degrees of this transit at first, this is a very slow moving planet, so you may experience this challenge for a while, is that there's a death and an ending to absolute karmic relationships. This is letting go of your ego. Stop being stubborn. Stop holding on to things that don't work for you. Karmic relationships teach us about especially the intimate ones, because this is in your 8th house, this is about, okay, and I'm going to say this and you guys can hate me for it, but this is what comes to it fills my heart. And when I connect to energy, I got to say what Spirit tells me to tell you. And for me, that it has something to do with how you almost use your sexual magnetism as a tool to get what you want. But what you're getting is not the ultimate goal, right? All you're getting is these continuous karmic lessons of what not to do and friggin' not to do that, right? And your ego, and you're kind of living between your legs at this point. Like, I know that sounds harsh to say, but pleasure is a really big part of you, and you really like this. You like intimate pleasure. And so for many of you, that has been a really hard thing to let go. And I think a lot of this stems back to it's kind of like what's always worked for you still works for you. But I think at this point you're wanting a union. You know, you're wanting an intimate relationship to last for the rest of your life. You're wanting it to pay off. You're wanting the fruits of your labor that you put in every single time to not be something that's on a temporary basis. And you've had many opportunities in the past for this to happen, but I think what's difficult about this is that you don't take the opportunities that are before you. And so for many of you, you know, you've let a lot of your vices get out of control, and you've lost perspective about what you want. So life is about trials and tribulations, and it's about triumphs, and it's about knowledge, and it's about figuring all of this life's journey out, and you're figuring it out. You're getting there. So you're at the point where we're not talking anymore so much about death, endings, loss. You know, we're not talking about the harder parts of this 8th house transit. We are talking about a rebirth in these areas, and anytime there's a rebirth, that means a restructure in your head, and that's a letting go of a very stubborn mindset that you have, and that can be very difficult for you. So for you, it's a vulnerability, and you know, it's something that you wrestle with. It's ego versus vulnerability. It's ego versus what you want. Inevitably. And inevitably, you want the finest things in life, right? Here's the strange part. For you, this has to do usually with monetary gains, but I don't see this in this transit. In the end, I don't see that it's going to end up being about monetary gains for you. I see it ending in marriage and standing before somebody and committing your life to somebody. But I see it more about the wounded, somebody who knows you, somebody who relates to your challenges. I see it about your twin flame. Your twin flame is your other half, is the exact opposite half of you. If you were split in the middle, there's the female and there's the male half, right? And it is, this doesn't have anything to do with the male and female relationship. It has to do with the male and female, how you identify with those particular energies. And you're split in half. And for you, this has to do with somebody who's in the exact same spot as you, that understands, that gets you, that you are connected with, that you can be vulnerable with. It's not somebody who pushes you, but is on the same journey, that stands, that walks that walks on the same road as you, and you build together. And it is a special opportunity and it will be brought forth during this particular transit. And this could be somebody that you knew from your childhood, or it just could be somebody that you feel childlike with, that appreciates that childlike enthusiasm in you, and really connects on a level that, I mean, you don't have to put on airs with this person. You don't have to pretend that you're something that you're not. This is somebody that you can be as deep and wounded and dark and dismal, but because they're your twin flame, and because they're on your journey, you can transform together. right? That's the end result. So that would be what the goals and triumphant achievements are of this transit. So Saturn is a pretty slow-moving planet. It's going to be in this transit for a couple years. It's going to be broadening your perspectives because it's in Sagittarius. I like Saturn in Sagittarius more than I liked it in Leo, because it's not about ego versus, control and, dampening your spirit. It's about broadening your perspective and the energy. And that is something that I kind of dig. We all know that I'm really into positive and negative energy. And so I think for you to get the most out of this, the only challenge that I see at this point in this transit is letting go of your freaking ego. Stop being so damn stubborn. You've got to listen. You've got to balance your life. You've got to, if there's a lot of karmic relationships coming into your life asking you to have, or if there's been a lot of karmic lessons in your life asking you to maintain some balance, and I think at this point you understand you damn need some balance, right? You can't, the wounded bird isn't cool anymore. It's like, walk with me. Everybody's effing wounded, right? Everybody's going through crap. You don't get special treatment just because you've got a boo-boo, right? Everybody's been through it. But if you can walk together, you can grow together, and you can learn together, there's some great things that can be learned from this transit. So the goals and triumphant achievements of this transit is going to be, you're going to fine-tune how you get the most out of your intimate relationships. You're going to be on such an intimate level. This is about letting them into the dark parts of you and not having fear when you do that. It's about, if you let them into your vulnerabilities, that they're going to stay because they always have. This is about growth and new beginnings. This is about new opportunities. This is about, I see a commitment, marriage, a fulfilling destiny from this. I see a soulmate connection from this by the time you're done. Or I see at least that you have found the route that makes you that fulfilled, that plugs you in that deep, that gives you ultimate fulfillment. Yes, on a monetary level, but I don't think monetary is going to be the focus as much as peace, harmony, feeling full on the inside and replenished, and feeling like you just got everything figured out. And then I think there will be monetary gain, but I think it'll be more of on a humble level. It will be something that both of you can appreciate. It won't be just this ambitious goal of money, end all be all. This person has to look this way and has to make this much money. I mean, I don't see that. I see this as being emotionally driven and emotionally fulfilling. I think you will experience an intimacy like you've never felt before, because the vulnerability that you can share with this person is it's priceless. You can't put a price on and show being intimate with somebody who you can truly be mentally intimate with. And it's the birth of a long, for some of you, this could be a house full of children, or it could be the birth of a child, or it could be just a birth of that childlike enthusiasm, a transformation. So even if you don't get that inevitable child, that stork in the basket, that could be the motivation for all of that. That could be that thing that elevates you and takes you on this level and broadens your perspective and makes you settle down and makes you want to get married. But it also could be just like a childlike enthusiasm is restored because you're so deeply in love and you feel so harmoniously connected to somebody, and and you can be so raw and so pure that there's a transformation that happens in that. Thank you guys so much for watching your energetic reading for this glorious transit. Hi Gemini, this is your energetic reading for Saturn moving into Sagittarius. It's really important for you to understand that. So I broke this down into a couple categories, and the reason I've done this is because it's super important. And so I'm going to read off the categories. I'm going to give you enough analytical research to back some of this energetic, my energetic readings, so that we can associate the both, like my intuitive side as well as it is my Gemini analytical side. I just really like to do it this way. So the challenges that can be faced while in the lower degrees of this transit is tensions in current relationships will escalate because they're karmic, right? They're teaching relationships. They're in the 0 degree. When you're in this relationship, you're at that 0 degree mark. So these could possibly be relationships that are only there to teach you a lesson and inevitably lead you to your soulmate or prospective life partner. Others that you attract in your life are going to mirror where you at. So if you are attracting a lot of dysfunctional people in your life, because this is the house of others, that helps us understand how energetically we are connected with ourselves and what we want from others and our outcomes with people, with partnerships, with unions, with negotiations, with creative endeavors. Okay, and then so those relationships will be tested, and if some of those turn out to be enemies, which is also emphasized by this particular house, then we know that our judgment was poor, and that why was our judgment poor? What was wrong with us to think that those were actually beneficial relationships? There was a deficiency in us, so it's a point of reflection. And then divorces can happen. Partnerships can end, legal issues could come out of the woodwork, and you could have to face some legal ramifications for some of your decisions, and it has to do with others or partnership energy, so it could hold you accountable, or others could leave you, and it can make you have to learn that to be more protective of your assets in the near future. Goals and triumphant achievements of this particular transit, when you hit more of the 29th, it's between the 14th and the 29th mark, I think that the focus shifts from oneself to others. So you start to use others as a barometer more than you just seek your own ego and ego-based satisfaction. So you'll start to understand that if you're attracting a lot of chaos, then at some point internally you're in chaos, and you'll use it as a gauge, and you'll have a tool, another tool in life. Uniting with destined partnerships, perhaps soul mates or twin flames, can absolutely happen in the final phase of this, or in those marks, or it could mean that this relationship that you're currently in was tested and proved to be a tried and true relationship, and that they stood by you through thick and thin, and inevitably they were your particular soulmates or twin flames. Legal negotiations, contracts, and unions will be emphasized and fine-tuned, so you may come out ahead in the end. It could be a long legal battle of trying to get some of the assets that you guys achieve together, and in the end you could come out a little bit victorious in this, or if anything, you learned a lesson in what not to do and have a prenup and really protect your resources. And you will feel confident about your choice in a partnership and who you develop moving forward. So you'll have enough skills and knowledge and life experience that you'll move forward effectively. So that is the actual analytical side of this transit. So let's talk about the energetic side of it, because that's actually where I resonate, and that's why you tune into me, because I'm an empath. So I think for you, you're at a fork in the road at this point. So your new beginning is making a choice. It's making a difficult choice, a choice where you almost feel like you're not at a point where you can. So there's a vulnerability in this choice that you need to make. And it definitely is in love. I can't even tell you how much I see that. And it has to do with who you're going to spend the rest of your life with. That will be challenged in this transit. And there is some rapid change that you know that you need to make, and you need to make it now in order to get what you want. And you're idealizing a family picture, but I don't even think you understand if what you want right now at this point is is what you really should seek. So I think energetically you're very indecisive, which is very typical for Gemini energy. I'm not trying to diss you, but you guys are freaking indecisive as hell. And there's a sense of understanding where you want to go. You're at a crossroads, and it's like, if I go this way, I could get everything I want, but is that energetic level low? Is that the lower side of energy? So let's say that monetarily it could get you ahead, but that's the darker side of the energy. I want to say that if you're, I got to say right now, if you guys are at a fork in the road and part of your decision is based on monetary gain, please don't choose that road. It's the darkest, lowest form of energetic vibration, and it will cause you to go through a terrible road in the future. I just fracking see it, and I don't know why I do. If you choose the more difficult journey, the other road, I know it's a little bit harder, and I know the triumphant achievements are going to be substantially smaller, but I think inevitably it's going to give you the outcome that you want. So I think you'll experience prosperity in your heart, in your emotional well-being, in your family. You'll get that view, but it's a slower road. It's something that will take you some time, a lot more time. You're impatient as hell at this point, and I think you're just wanting it right now, and the energy is not supporting that. It's supporting if you get impatient and you just go for it, and you marry somebody that gives you the inevitable picture of money, a family, a home, and you just go for it. I think inevitably what you may face is some legal negotiations down the line, a divorce, a very short-term commitment, and it won't give you the long-term commitment that you want. I'm just warning you from what I see. Take it or leave it. I mean, I really don't care. I think some of this has to do with a childlike enthusiasm for this particular relationship. So if you're in a relationship at this 0 degree mark, really hold back, really evaluate it, take your time, go slow, make sure that it's balanced, make sure that it mentally feeds you as well as monetarily feeds you. Take the slow road. I can't emphasize enough that because all of this energy is in 0 degrees in partnerships, the current relationship that you are in could not be the one that you're going to be in 2 years later. So, if this relationship is meant to be, and you have a more patient approach to it, you can fine-tune some of these problems, and you can get it boosted to the level that you want. But it's a slow process, and it's more about it's more about an internal journey. And it's about really making that commitment that really will provide a long-term goal. And I think for some of you, this could mean that you're imbalanced right now. Some of your coping skills, I mean, you're at the point where you're fine-tuning them, but negotiating where you're at with who you're with, you're going to almost promise the moon, and you're not gonna cut it because you're not ready. You're not ready to be. You're broadening your perspective. You're not at the point where it is broadened. So that is my energetic reading for you at this 0 degree mark. Thank you so much for tuning in to Annette's Astrology Corner, and I look forward to talking to you during the next astrological event. Hi guys, this is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your Saturn in Sagittarius transit forecast. And so for you, all of this is going to be going off, and when it's at that 0 degree mark, it's at 0 degrees in your 6th house. So for you, this is in physical, mental health, and work routine. this suggests to me that at the point when it's in 0 degrees, that for many of you that are working in an extremely low vibration, you may have a health scare come up. You may have something that is highlighting how you do cope, how you balance your energy. I think you're getting better at this. I mean, when I do this reading, I don't really see a lot of, I think the poorest coping method that I think that you have is that you don't have enough confidence in yourself. You don't give yourself enough, you don't feel worthy enough to be authentic, that what you have to give, you feel that there is something truly that stands out in that. And so I think, there's a hesitation in you getting inevitably what you want to. And I'm talking about monetary gain as well as physical gain. So I'm talking about more like your first house and your sun and your 10th house. Like, I think you've been weighing all this out. There's a lot going on. I still think that there's some things that haven't been revealed to you. You could have an issue that comes up that proves to you that you have an imbalance, and it's something that kind of blindsides you and makes you have to take a look at some of these routines that you do on a day-to-day basis. For some of you, this could be work, life, balance, and career, authentic, your life path, destiny, purpose. It suggests to me, I see a significant amount of energy in, I feel like you understand what you want, but getting everybody on board with that is something that you don't necessarily have the confidence in yourself to really move forward with. I don't see love being a big focus for you during this transit. What I see is that this is an internal process, right? This isn't about getting somebody on board with you that you love. This is about energetically connecting and feeling fulfilled internally with where you're at. This is about your masculine energy and your feminine energy. So masculine energy is more like ego, or this could be male and female cancers. But it also could be that, setting free some of the control that you have over nurturing others. I think you're at the point where you're ready to embark on that journey, and you're willing to find a way to find more emotional fulfillment internally. This is to do with you. It's weird. I never see readings that have to do with just a Cancer and them attending to being a Cancer, but I think this is about a redefinition in the fact that you understand that this isn't about love defining you. It isn't about the happy home, right? It's all about finding some emotional fulfillment from within. There's a lot of dualistic energy in this. So I think knowing the direction that you need to go is going to be difficult. When Mercury's in retrograde, and for you it was in your home and family, I think this is about balancing family with what your purpose is, what your ultimate destiny is, with what makes you feel victorious and triumphant on the inside. And there's still some things that need to be revealed to you on how to do all of this, how to create career, life, path, destiny, balance with being the nurturing energy that you are and attending to your home and family. So the struggle for you this entire transit, this entire next couple years coming up, is broadening your perspectives on how to do this. It's opening you up. It's giving you, it's asking you to develop some very healthy work routines to that will elevate you internally and make you feel like there's a greater self-worth for why you're here. But it's also making you attend to your mental needs and your emotional needs and your physical needs. So it's about, as you're being broadened and more is being asked of you, how do you keep your energy going? How do you keep sustained? How do you keep your energy, your engine working at maximum potential? If there's an imbalance in this, then what happens is you suffer from mental health issues or physical health issues, or that you're not very successful in some of the endeavors, the life path destiny endeavors that you want to do. So it's about getting a handle on all of that for you for the next couple years, right? You're going to be selfish. You're not self-indulgent because you're going to be asked a lot to develop some balance. But it is about how you've lost power in the past in love and romance. That's not, it used to be with you fulfilling your partner's needs, and that's how you felt fulfilled. But it's not that way moving forward. It's absolutely not. And you will make very powerful stands. Both male and female Cancers are going to change everything. They are going to completely transform and re-identify how you can be a nurturing energy, but you can actually meet your own goals as well, and you can make you a focus. Thank you for watching Annette's Astrology Corner, and I look forward to talking to you in the next astrological event. Hi Leos, this is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your Saturn moving into Sagittarius energetic reading for you specifically. And for you, so Saturn is moving into Sagittarius for the next couple years, and it's broadening your perspective. At this 0 degree mark, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you what I read for the entire transit, the energetic reading, and then I'm also going to let you know that where the start point is, like what the energy is at the start point. And then as it moves into the 29th degree, well, it's like the 4th, the 17th, and the 29th, I'll give you an energetic boost in those particular, I'll give you an update in those particular degrees. But for now, we're in 0 degrees, and for you, this particular transit is going to be happening in your 5th house. And the 5th house is the house of pleasure, creativity, and love and romance. So this is a good house for a Leo. And I love that some of the energy that I picked on immediately was all 4th house, or I'm sorry, 5th house information. So you love the 5th house. This is your home. This is where it should be. This is that you feel really good in this particular energy. So I think you're going to identify immediately with what's expected of you when you hit that 0 degree mark. And again, I think that's part of that connection, that intuitive connection. It's like you don't need to be shown the way, because you have an energetic connection with this little hint that you're going to be getting. So allow yourself to have some quiet time today and really meditate and emotionally connect to the energy today to get that little secret whispered in your ear. So one of the things, how I do this is I want to tell you how the energy is going to analytically feel for you, but then I want to give you an energetic reading of how I connect with the energy regarding you. So for you, I've wrote down the analytical side of it. Some of the challenges that you can experience during the lower degrees is like it's before 14, the 13-14 degree mark, is that relationships with children may be challenging, or there may be some sudden upsets, or there may be some sudden challenging aspects or dynamics to some of your relationships with your children that really challenge you and make you grow with them and get closer to them. Emotionally satisfying relationships with romantic partners may be challenging and unfulfilling. This isn't about a pleasure, like you're used to pleasure seeking and basing a lot of your relationships and initially starting out relationships based solely on pleasure. But I think that at this point, that's not going to be supported, and it's going to be challenged by Spirit, God, the universe, angels, whatever you hold there. Emotional and creative risks may have unexpected outcomes that redefine how you experience pleasure. So for some of you, well, for almost every Leo, a form of creative expression empowers you. It energetically connects you. It plugs you in, and it gives you internal strength, and it gives you some leadership qualities, and it provides you the fire that it is to be a Leo. I mean, you are the, lion, the king of the jungle. But being blindsided is not your deal. Like, you need to be in control of your environment, and you're at a point where you're at a fork in the road, and I think what's difficult for you is this isn't about the endeavors that you're asked to go on is not about monetary gain or influence or recognition or all the things that you usually connect to. It's actually about what your intuition is telling you. So it's almost like when you need to make a decision, you want to put blinders on and you want to close your eyes and you want to tune into your emotion to make this. And I think that's why I felt that energy at the very beginning of this transit telling me that you need to get to a point where you're intuitively and energetically, emotionally connecting to what starting points are. And I think that moving forward, that's actually how you'll make many of your decisions. They're going to be all emotion-based. And I'm not talking about emotion-based based on fear, pleasure, or pain, but intuitively connecting with where you should be. I think this is about stamina, endurance. This is about standing out. This is about standing up for who you are and how you've changed. I think you're holding back. I think at this point at 0 degrees, there's a fear associated with being so energetically in tune with the universe. That's not your deal, right? Your deal is kicking a little ass and taking some names later. It's about moving forward. It's about making decisions based on monetary gains and small strides, small endeavors paying off. But there's something so much bigger that you don't understand. The leader that you are meant to be is so angelic at this point. It's so strange. What I feel you need to be is almost like a healer, a spiritual leader, a person of comfort, moving forward, somebody who sets a standard and stays strong in a community that maybe it's not accepted. So maybe you'll become a leader in the metaphysical community, and maybe you stand out and stand tall against some of the people that don't necessarily believe in all this silliness. But I believe the challenge at this 0 degree mark for you specifically is to trust your instincts, trust your intuition, trust that there is energy speaking to you and guiding you, and it's blindly guiding you. You don't have an option at this point to not let it energetically guide you. What you experience from this transit in the end, when you've reached the cumulative part, the 29th degree, is you've redefined your creative endeavors that may give you recognition that you've desired for many years. This could really elevate you on a level that maybe you haven't anticipated before this. You also may redefine your creative forms of expression during substantial fulfillment. I'm going to have to go in because it is so crazy out here right now. It's like energy is all over the place right now. And so basically for some of you, it may be that how you used to define yourself is being redefined, and I think that's why you have to go on. You have to become energetically connected versus letting things guide you that you had before, monetary gain and recognition, because the circles that you were in before, I don't think you're going to actually end up staying in. And then you're going to take pride in yourself and what you've achieved. You took some risks and you've allowed yourself to express your full creative potential, and you've redefined it. So there's a sense of accomplishment in that. Initially, it's like you're going to have the growing pains and you're going to have that, I don't know, that hesitant feeling, but I think energetically, after all is said and done, you're going to find that what happens during this creative process will start to connect you energetically to people that romantically help you to flourish and help you to be more than you currently are, and inevitably will get you to the level that you want. Like, these romantic relationships may come, these fulfilling, romantic, pleasurable energies and relationships may only come after you've figured out this redefining purpose that you have. Thank you guys so much for tuning into Annette's Astrology Corner, and I look forward, so windy, and I look forward to talking to you guys again in the next astrological event. Hi Virgo, this is Annette and with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your energetic reading for the Saturn transit that is going to be moving into Sagittarius. So we're talking about at 0 degrees again. So this is a really long transit. This one takes a few years to fully manifest the change in your life that it's trying to emphasize. And so when it starts out, it's going to be at 0 degrees. And when it's at 0 degrees, that is the point of the beginning. So from about 0 to 4 degrees, we're talking about an enlightening point where there could be challenges, there could be sudden awakenings, there could be a testing of exactly where you're at in this particular these energies that influence you. And for you, Saturn is moving into Sagittarius in your 4th house. And so I want to talk about some of the challenges that you may face when Saturn is in Sagittarius in the lower degrees of this transit. So I want to match my energetic readings with the analytical background that goes into these transits. And so let's talk about, first of all, the analytical side of it. Like if I were just to remove the energetic empathic reading. So when it's in this 0 degree mark, from about 0 degree to 4 degrees, significantly, 4 degrees is kind of a turning point as well. It's like 0, 4, 17, and then at, and that's only for this particular energy because it's mutable energy. There's certain degrees that really signify changes, and I'll kind of keep you guys up to date on what's happening in those landmark degrees. But for you, childhood issues could start to resurface around this time, and that have been holding you back as an adult, and these could be deeply suppressed issues. So whenever Saturn moves into Sagittarius, it's an expansive energy. It's broadening your perspective on particular issues. And so for you, the challenge has been, or may be moving forward, that you have this idealistic look of this home and family, and you hold out for a really long time to get what you want. And I think sometimes you hold out for so long, you actually forget what you really want, because you're at this point of reflection where you've went without for so long that you just stay going without. And so you identify yourself through work-based endeavors instead of being emotionally fulfilled at home. Or you become more of a breadwinner and you serve everybody in your home and family, and you often don't get the emotional fulfillment that you desire, and you just kind of get used to that tragic situation. So the energies are going to go in there and expand some of those deficiencies in those areas if you have some. So you may experience an imbalance in your home, in oneself, that alters your perspective of how you feel about yourself. So this could be dissolutions in your home and family is somebody leaving. It could mean children moving on, moving out, going to college. It could mean that somebody gets pregnant and it really elevates the need to solidify your family situation. And maybe there's a reevaluation of what you're doing and why and who and how you're doing it with, how you're proceeding in your life. You may experience sudden realization that shakes up your home and family life. Again, to me, that suggests like that whole, I get somebody knocked up thing, or if you're a female, you get pregnant and you decide that you really need to stop focusing so much on your work routines and you really need to start focusing on your home and family, or there's an imbalance in between work routine and home routine. And maybe you're serving so many people and doing so much that you get burnt out. And then one of your significant parental figures may experience a physical need, or that you may have to start to assist them or serve them. And those things can come up in these lower degrees. And I think that this is to do with somebody that's, really, really close to you, a parental figure. So those are some of the things that could come up in the lower degrees of this. Lower degrees too of home and family is you could, go back and decide to move back home, or you could have some challenges that make you, go back to your roots, kind of start over. And, somebody leaves you. It could just be a mental start over as well. So that can be some of the challenges that you experience in these early degrees. So for you, on the energetic side of this, that's just the analytical side, but I think there's a sense that that you need to leave some past pain behind, but it's still a very real pain. It's still a challenging thing to have to face. I think what happened to you when you were a child made you grow up really, really, really fast. And so for many of you, that has created some fear-based reactions about how you deal with your home and family. So I think that there might be some psychological aspects too that you need to explore that started in your childhood, started in the beginning. And this could still be something that is limiting you, holding you back. It is something that you have ultimate control over and can change. But I think at this point, it's going to take a realization. It's going to take a shock. It's going to take what it is at this point, you're on a spiritual journey. You're at a point, you're at a turning point, and I think you kind of know what you want, but there's so much energy pulling you almost in a lot of directions. This is what I love about all of this reflective Mercury energy that we're going to have when Mercury, your ruler, is going to pull you back into your past. I really like that because look, you've got work life handled. I think at this point, the monetary gains that you want, I think you know the direction you need to go. I think you have an idea, and I think that there are many new beginnings that can be found in starting over. And for you, that could be a new opportunity comes up in a job, right? That really sets a lot of this stuff into motion for you, motivates you to make some changes. I also think that there's some new beginnings in just your foundation, how you start all this out. But the underlying issue, I think you put love on the back burner for so long, and I think where you're tying up in your ego is through providing for your family and your home. Basically, you're putting yourself aside. So emotional fulfillment has not been attained for you, for many of you. And so I think that this is about understanding that there is a balance that needs to be had. So it's leaving some stuff behind. It's transforming a mindset. I think there's a little bit, if you want to transform this situation, you have to acknowledge some of this fear, this pain, and some of these childhood issues for you to really move forward. I think you need to work both psychologically as hard as you work monetarily. So yes, work hard, serve people, do what Virgos do, but you really need to start giving yourself as much love and as much attention as you do with others. And I think those are some of the new beginnings psychologically that will help you get to where you need to go. Some of the challenges with this particular transit is that when you first start out, I think you're going to be pouring all of your time and energy into getting ahead, and you're going to ignore some of this childhood issues. So I think sometimes you might get the realizations is you might get reality checks in these areas for you to, you know, see what you got to see. So the goals and triumphant achievements of this particular transit can be that you may have a sudden realization as what you consider as fulfilling. So there could be an ending, a death, and a rebirth to literally how you think and what you consider valuable, and what kind of foundation do you want to create for yourself moving forward. So the realizations I see as being very good. You can turn all this energy around and you can get ahead, but stop looking back at the past and maybe deal with some of these, or look back at the past. Don't ignore what the issues are, but move forward and acknowledge that there's some very real pain that you've really got to work with. You may buy a house or relocate to a more desirable location, which will increase the quality of life. I completely see that. I completely see that for many of you. When you're talking about monetary gains in this transit, Saturn is going to go in to Sagittarius and really expand some opportunities for you, and it's going to pay off. It's going to pay off in full. So you're at a fork in the road, a transition, and a lot of energy. A lot of really powerful energy is really working hard with Virgos. So I see this as being good. And the other thing that I want to say is that you may have to redefine the type of parent that you want to be for your children. So I think it's that life-work balance thing that all of us suffer with, because you have a lot of motivation in getting your monetary life in order. And so I think that the most challenging energy in all of this, and the thing that you're going to struggle with, is having the time when you're moving forward so drastically and energetically in getting ahead in life to really take care of some of these past childhood issues. Anyhow, thank you guys so much for watching your energetic reading for Saturn moving into Sagittarius, and I look forward to talking to you guys again in the next astrological event. Libra, this is Annette with Annette's Astrology Corner, and this is your Saturn in Sagittarius forecast. So for the next couple years, we are having an energy shift into Sagittarius, and I prefer Saturn moving into Sagittarius because it's just the energies communicate much more effectively than when they were in Leo and Scorpio. So I think we're going to have a significant time of personal growth. Now for you, the growth is going to be happening in your third house. And the third house is the house of communication. Now, that's not just communication. That's day-to-day thinking, communicating about day-to-day things that you need to have more balance in. And it's also about like short distance travel. So it emphasizes a lot of things. It also emphasizes neighbors and siblings. So any of those things could come up over this 2-year process, and this is a 2-year process that it's going to go through. Now, Saturn is a very slow-moving planet, so it sits at 0 degrees for a really long time, which means that it emphasizes where we need to begin for quite some time. And so you start to have fluctuations in energy when it's in the 0 degree mark. I mean, I think that's when most of the energies that we need to change are deeply highlighted. And it's almost like, it's like it's like spirit, God, whomever you hold dear, angels, aliens, whatever it is. It's like it puts a spotlight on it and it asks you some really important questions during that 0 degree mark. So I've actually split this up into a couple categories. Now I have the astrological side of this reading, and I also have the energetic side of this reading, and I connect deeply with both, and they both guide me. However, I think some people resonate with the analytical side of it, which to me is astrology, and just the empathic side of it, which is, I am an empath astrologer, so I tie the two together. So analytically, some of the challenges that we face when Saturn first moves into Sagittarius in 0 degrees is that you may experience sudden crisis with siblings and neighbors that refines your relationships with them. Meaning at first they start out at crisis mode, and then they turn out to be okay. So I think if that happens, it's just conflicts over land, over boundaries of the land, or how you guys work together as far as the edges of your land. So I see that happening for some of you. And it just causes a lot of emotional turmoil for you. And you're not a deeply emotional person, so maybe this person that you're dealing with is. Or maybe it's just a sibling that, you know, I think has almost a childlike demeanor, probably has never grown up, and you've held back some information about this particular sibling, and I think the cat kind of comes out of the bag at this 0 degree mark. So it's almost like you were hiding something, and then everything comes out to this sibling, or everything comes out about this sibling, and it's like sheds light on a particular subject. You may experience challenges during day-to-day conversations with others that may be frustrating. Like you're just trying to find balance in your life, and you always are. But there are some people that live in a state of imbalance. And so your goal during this Saturn transit is to try to find balance in the midst of this emotional person. And again, you know, whenever I see this, I see, particularly for you, it's like Libran balanced energy coming up against Cancer energy, and it's, so that's a water sign, so that's deeply emotional energy, and I see it makes you pull back and hold back, and it makes you kind of have to take on the burden at first. And I think, you know, for you, monetary gains with this particular person that you're having these day-to-day conversations with, you're getting ahead, but at what cost? I think you're weighing that out. Definitely during this couple years, this Saturn transit. Also, your analytical perspectives may be challenged by others. So maybe some of the challenges that you have with either a sibling, a neighbor, or a companion, or just people that you communicate on a day-to-day basis, is it's like deeply analytical energy versus emotional energy. And at times this can leave you feeling upside down. It's like you don't understand their perspective because they're so highly emotional and you detach emotionally. And so I think at first when the degrees are in the 0 degree mark, it's like you're weighing out if this is all freaking worth it. Like, are you really doing the right thing? It's like you're constantly being the one that's in balance. You're constantly having to deal with everything. And, you know, you're holding back what you want to meet somebody's emotional needs that aren't in balance during their 0 degree mark in Saturn. So I think it's just a point of challenge. 0 degree markers in energy is always a point of challenge. And I think if you can get by it, then what happens is Saturn goes in, removes obstacles, and then it starts to become energy that really flourishes and gets ahead. But there's always that challenging marker point for everybody. How you process and share your ideas may be challenged by others. So again, you have to communicate on an emotional level. That's not something that's your strong suit. You communicate on an analytical level. So in these little stupid day-to-day things that you got to talk about all the time, which are very frustrating for you because you're so analytical and you don't really understand why it needs to go down to an emotional level when the bottom line is the bottom line. And you are very, I know that everybody sees you as this really, really balanced energy. And I think for the most part, you do try to weigh everything out, but then you take stands and you say, okay, enough is enough with your freaking whiny BS. Like, grow up, you know, own your freaking manhood or own your masculine energy and just deal with the fact that you are grown up in this situation. And I think you're going to get some leverage, some ground. You're going to be the person who provides some emotional stabilizing energy for this either sibling situation or this neighbor situation or on day-to-day communications with people that you're involved with. So I just think that's very challenging for you. It drains your energy. And I think for the most part, you know, it provides you an imbalance, and it's like you're weighing out whether or not emotionally it's worth it at first. Okay, so when you get closer to the 29th degree, so between about 14 and 29 degrees, 17 is a big turning point in this particular energy because it's mutable. You know, both your written and your verbal conversations will increase your magnetism. And here's why: because you've been challenged so much, right? So not only can you communicate effectively with highly analytical people, but now, because you have such an emotional person in your life, or emotional neighbor, or emotional sibling, or somebody that is really emotional, you've now learned how to communicate on all levels, analytically and emotionally. So that's actually a skill. It's like you are being tested and you are being developed in an area that you're probably deficient in. Your analytical perspectives will broaden and incorporate others in the perspective so that you can communicate more effectively. Absolutely. You know, as you compute the data, right, your little computer, at some point you're like, okay, if I say this, this will cause this reaction. And so when Saturn goes into Sagittarius, it broadens your perspective. So it broadens your perspective on day-to-day thinking. You're not so localized on what you need, what you want, what pleases you, what makes you look good. It's more about actually a balanced perspective, emotion versus analytical energy. And it's meeting both of those needs on day-to-day conversations. So for you also, communication between significant others will be authentic and well received. I think in the end, you're going to feed this emotional based person. It is a struggle. It is a journey. It's a 2-year journey. So don't expect for you just to be able to turn on the charm and, you know, smoke them out with those gorgeous eyes of yours, and you do that little hair flip thing that you do, and, you know, it's not gonna cut it with this emotional based person. This emotional based person is going to need a lot more affirmation than that. And then how you share and process ideas with siblings, neighbors, and others will be respected and well received. I think siblings and neighbors, if you're having some of those issues, it is going to be on a more analytical basis, but you're going to have to appear like they are emotionally touching parts of you, which I don't think is quite your skill. Like, you like to always appear together, well balanced. You don't like to appear vulnerable. You like to go in and be the peacekeeper in energy. But I think what you have to do is show some vulnerability in these situations and let them know, you know what, you can hurt me. And this is hurting me, and I need a larger perspective from this. So energetically, let's talk about it. We're talking about balancing emotion versus analytical energy, and it will provide you with balance, right? It's impossible for people to expect emotional-based creatures to always think analytically. Vice versa, it's very hard for emotional-based creatures to always think that analytical people can understand emotional depths. So there's a dance that you will go through with somebody, sibling, neighbor, somebody that you communicate on a day-to-day level, or if you're going on a short distance travel, you'll be challenged a lot to manage emotional situations with whom you're with. And I think this is going to be hard for you. I think there's going to be several times during these next couple years that you are going to want to give up because you're sick and tired of dealing with the childlike energy that you have in your life. And even though this childlike energy does appear to be the breadwinner in your life, and it does give you the social status that you desire, I think inevitably you're going to put it all in perspective, and you're going to tame them by, it's like, always remaining in control and holding back is going to give you the edge. I think at some point balancing out your emotional needs versus holding back, meeting this childlike energy. So it's almost like you've got to go down to a childlike level in order to communicate with this person. And this will be for the next couple of years. So it's somebody very, very significant, very, very day-to-day. And it's somebody that you've chosen to live your life with and to start an entire future with that is based a lot on monetary gains. So, bite the big one and deal with the hand that you dealt yourself, because you've got a journey ahead of you, but it's a journey of growth. And Saturn will help you get a control over all of it. And then when it hits about that 17-degree mark, especially between 17 degrees and 29 degrees, you'll find it's smooth sailing. Everything opens up, and emotionally, all this stuff calms down. It's just a journey for a while. Thank you so much for watching Annette's Astrology Corner, and I look forward to talking to you again during the next astrological event.